This week in the business of tech, TechAisle's 2023 priorities and challenges insights, jobs data to parse plus data on what happens after tech layoffs, ransomware goes vertical, small business employers are laying off staff too, and a business unlock for AI imaging. All these stories and more. Hit those like, subscribe, and the notification button and help us pay the bills. And here are this week's stories. As we near the year's end, the lists are showing up. I'm working on my own 2023 prediction series too. I spotted the top 10 SMB and mid-market business issues, IT priorities, and challenges for 2023 list from TechAisle, so let's take a look. Quoting the analysis. Significant changes in 2023 as compared to 2022 are driving innovation and managing uncertainty, absent in 2022, are among the top 10 business issues in 2023. Deploying customer experience solutions as an IT priority has moved to 4th place as compared to 9th in 2022. This area is considered an integral component of customer experience solutions. Implementing employee experience platforms and 5G-enabled devices and applications are new IT priorities within the top 10 list. UCaaS is one of the technology areas being investigated by SMBs. Adopting collaboration technology solutions has moved down from 3rd rank to 8th, and hybrid workplace solutions as a priority ranks 10th as compared to 5th in 2022. Budget constraint has been a constant IT challenge fixture for over a decade. For 2023, it's been replaced by cloud cost management. Cloud optimization and cost management are the top IT challenges for SMBs, core mid-market, and upper mid-market firms. Preventing cyber attacks, adopting zero trust, and moving to as-a-service technology acquisition for new IT challenges are among the top 5. Sustainability is increasingly becoming relevant and essential for the SMB segment, and there is no surprise that it's among the top challenges. Integration business process automation is now non-optional and a challenge, which is worsened because of the inability to find trained employees. So what's in the top spots? For business issues, it's increasing profitability. For technology priorities, it's the cloud. And for IT challenges, it's finding qualified and trained people. Why do we care? I like trends, so I'll focus there. Adding uncertainty to the mix feels like a significant change to note. I've indeed harped on it enough myself. It's also worth considering that the collaboration space may have achieved some market deployment and acceptance level for it to move much lower on the list. Budget management replaced by cost management, or is that clever cloud rebranding? Obviously, aligning with your customers' priorities is the goal. What's more interesting to me today is ensuring offerings and focus, including mine, stay in the right places. And someone, please tell me whom these customers are asking 5G specifically for. I want to pull from an Axios story. Quote, right now, 2 surveys are sending distinct signals about the trend in employment. Could be a sign that beneath the surface of a job market that appears exceptionally strong, things are getting bumpier. The monthly job numbers are based on a survey of about 131,000 employers, asking how many people are on their payrolls, how much they were paid, and so forth. The unemployment rate and related data are calculated based on a survey of about 60,000 households, asking Americans whether they're working or looking for work. Both sets of numbers bounce around from month to month, but over time you would expect to see the same trends from both. If employers say they're hiring a lot more, you also expect more people to report they are employed. That isn't what has happened since March. Employers report having added 2.7 million jobs in that span, but only 12,000 more people in the household survey report being employed. Indeed, that category fell each of the last 2 months and 4 of the last 8. The article continues by highlighting how respondents are counted in the 2 surveys. In the household survey, it's per person, and in the establishment one, it's more by job. Although workers off the books, like self-employed or on leave, don't show up there at all. Now, why do we care? The gap is what's discussed and how it could be a warning sign. The analysis highlights how it could signify recession, so we can add that to the pile of warnings we've discussed. The reason it cares more about the subtlety of the divergence. There's uncertainty around marginalized workers, those dealing with childcare, and the self-employed. I'm focusing on asking more about what's happening outside the scope of work, more in the area of life to understand these trends, and it's a valuable direction for employers too. Let's look at IDC's 2023 Future of Work predictions for today's list. Quote, Prediction 1. To address health, sustainability, travel, and other disruptions, 30% of G2000 organizations will adopt immersive, third-party metaverse conferencing tech services to enable client engagement by 2027. Prediction 2. By 2024, the business developer role will be ubiquitous, with more than 60% of enterprises training and supporting business users to build their own applications and automated processes using low-code tools. Prediction 3. Driven by skills shortages, CIOs that invest in digital adoption platforms and automated learning technologies will see a 40% increase in productivity by 2025, delivering greater speed to expertise. Prediction 4. By 2024, organizations deploying employee micro-monitoring measures like camera and keystroke will see a 20% decrease in actual employee productivity. Prediction 5. G2000 companies that deploy reactive and tactical hybrid work models will see a 20% revenue loss in 2024 due to job attrition and underperforming teams. Prediction 6. By 2025, organizations that have created dedicated hybrid security policies and developed a culture of trust will be 3 times less likely to suffer a security breach. Prediction 7. By 2024, companies offering frontline workers democratized access to digital collaboration, process automation, and similar tools will see a 20% increase in revenue due to improved productivity. Prediction 8. Holistic and integrated analysis within an intelligent digital workplace ecosystem will drive a 70% increase in differentiated business outcomes for adopters by 2026. Prediction 9. Effectively blurring space and place. By 2025, 65% of G2000 companies will consider online presence to be at parity to in real life across their engaged workforce. And Prediction 10. By 2024, 55% of C-suite teams at global enterprises will use intelligent space and capacity planning technology to reinvent office locations for gathering, collaborating, and learning. So let's couple that with some insights from another research study. Although more than 2/3 of decision makers believe employees are more innovative in the office, employees are less likely to agree, according to a survey conducted by Vance & Bourne and commissioned by VMware. Fewer than 3 in 5 employees believe they are more innovative in the office. The more flexible the work style policy, the more likely it is that an organization measures innovation levels. More than 4 in 5 office-only organizations track innovation, but 97% of remote organizations track innovation, according to the report, which surveyed 5,300 IT and HR decision makers and employee-level respondents. That from CIO Dive. Why do we care? Staffing concerns continue to dominate the lists, and that's worth noting. The business developer role is an interesting set of insights. Will that happen in the SMB the same way, or is that a required role for the MSPs who serve them? I'm willing to say I think the answer is yes. Thematically, the predictions say this: continued investment in automation and the technology behind it, smart organizations will be focused less on micromanagement and asking questions like how many days in the office employees show up, and it's all about the data. Now the trick is delivering those services. Does coordinating meetings and help desk calls frustrate you and your clients? Wouldn't it be easier if you could automate this process and it integrated with ConnectWise Manage or Autotask? TimeZest is scheduling automation that gives you control of your schedule and removes the frustration of calendar ping pong. As the only solution specifically designed for MSPs, it integrates within your PSA to schedule appointments right in your workflow. And the best part? You can try it for free. Visit timezest.com/MSP Radio and mention MSP Radio for 10% off your first year of TimeZest. A warning from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. A new ransomware gang, the Royal Ransomware Gang, is targeting U.S. healthcare organizations. A brief history of the group. The Royal Ransomware Gang is a private operation without affiliates and made up of experienced threat actors who work for other groups. Since September 2022, Royal operators have been quickly ramping up malicious activities, months after being first spotted in January 2022. While initially they used encryptors from other gangs like Black Cat, they quickly switched to using their own encryptors, the first being Xeon, which generated Conti-like ransom notes. Why do we care? I wanted to highlight ransomware operators going vertical. Sure, there's a tactical warning here for those in healthcare, but that's a lot less interesting than discussing the adversary. This ransomware group focused on a specific industry, building its technology itself and not risking exposure by working with affiliates. That's a very specific business strategy, and we'd be applauding their focus if they were a technology startup. That's the insight I'm considering today. The adversary steps up their game, and thus why HSS has warned us. According to data from Alignable, the number of small business employers laying off workers doubled in December compared to the previous month. Meanwhile, 41% of those businesses have a hard time paying rent. Just as the holiday season got underway, Alignable found that an average of 74% of small business employers surveyed, quote, have instituted hiring freezes until at least Q2 of next year. That was up a whopping 12 percentage points from November, it added. Nearly 3 out of 4 small business employers at 74% say they can't afford to hire anyone now and don't expect to hire again until at least Q2 2023. That finding is up 12 percentage points over last month's number, 62%. There's also categories in this data. When looking at the change in the share of U.S. small business owners who say they are laying off workers, here's the list. The percentages are from November 2022 to December 2022. Increasing, it's gyms from 2 to 19%, construction from 12 to 18%, transportation from 4 to 17%, real estate 8% to 17%, finance from 9% to 15%, retail from 1% to 14%, restaurants from 6% to 11%, and manufacturing from 1% to 4%. Now, decreasing, agriculture from 27% to 17%, and travel from 13% to 1%. Overall, it's increasing from 8% to 15%. Some 87% of employers participating in this poll have fewer than 20 employees, and 77% have 10 or less. That said, let's note that our own space, technologists, isn't shrinking. According to a Tuesday report by tech career marketplace Dice, the number of postings for technologists grew 25% year over year during the first 10 months of 2022. The report analyzed tech job postings from January through October. The report said that tech job listings spiked early in the year to over 450,000 and then dipped below 400,000 in August and September. After 2 months of decline, postings rebounded with a 3% increase in October. Why do we care? I would think that specific data on the hiring practices of SMBs would be evident as to why we care. That moves my bar for analysis a little higher, so here it is. Technology companies will be more out of sync with their customers, considering how aggressive growth targets will be stymied by customers who are not growing. This is particularly hard for those who charge by user or device. I don't see a pattern in the two exceptions, agriculture and travel. I guess travel's growth is temporary, so I wouldn't read too much into that. And a bit more trends research to look at, Gartner with their IT infrastructure trends for 2023. I'm pulling a couple of the highlights. Quote, cloud teams will optimize and refactor cloud infrastructure. Nearly every business already makes use of cloud services, but many cloud implementations are poor. In 2023, when many businesses will not undertake major new cloud expansion projects, infrastructure teams will finally have the time and space to optimize their existing cloud assets and pay down the technical debt they have incurred. However, making architectural changes to running code is not within the I&O team's remit. They will need to collaborate closely with software developers and business units to make mutually beneficial changes. Data center teams will adopt cloud principles on premises. IT organizations increasingly demand the benefits and operating model of the public cloud, even for those workloads that remain on premises. Cloud providers showed businesses a better way to create and use applications and data. The pressure is on data center teams to deliver similar value by making on-prem infrastructure more cloud-like, service-centric, elastic, and highly scalable with capacity on demand and consumption-based pricing. Successful organizations will make skills growth their highest priority. In 2021, Gartner highlighted the skills crisis among I&O teams as a key concern for 2022. As we look to 2023, this crisis has not abated. If anything, it has worsened. Lack of skills remains the primary barrier to infrastructure modernization initiatives. I&O teams must prioritize skills growth above all else. Successful teams are already doing so. They set aside dedicated work time for employees to learn new skills on the clock, and they have established centers of excellence and/or communities of practice to share best practices and new ideas. Why do we care? I thought I'd highlight that statement about cloud principles. That should be the focus for any provider in general. Rephrasing that statement. Make infrastructure more cloud-like, service-centric, elastic, and highly scalable with capacity on demand and consumption-based pricing. That's my takeaway, and I'm using that filter against any offering. Kaseya's Datto with their new Global State of the MSP report. It's pretty cheerful. 95% of the 1,800 MSPs surveyed said it's an excellent time to be a channel professional. Some other highlights. The survey saw an 11% increase in break-fix revenue. 56% of respondents' total revenue comes from recurring services, with the top 5 managed service offerings being cloud-based infrastructure design and management, 83%, office productivity software services, 83%, business continuity and disaster recovery and networking, both at 79%, and technical support and help desk at 77%. Anticipated growth areas for managed services offerings include collaboration software, storage design and implementation, and incident response and forensics. About 95% of MSPs surveyed point to cloud solutions as a new market opportunity, and half say they expect 75% of workloads to be in the public cloud in 3 years. For their SMB clients that have migrated workloads to the cloud, the majority are in AWS, 54%, and Microsoft Azure, 47%. And there's new blood in the channel. Nearly a quarter of respondents reported that they have been in business for less than 5 years. Why do we care? Greetings, programs. Welcome to all the newcomers to the industry. If everyone agrees cloud is the market opportunity, is it the new one anymore? I'm going to observe that it's simply the direction and shouldn't be viewed as something new or innovative. My observation is that the window is just closing on not being a full laggard here. I hadn't covered much about the AI boom on this show, as I've been pondering practical applications within the services space. ChatGPT is cool, sure, but how do you apply products like this within services in the current context? I found an example I wanted to highlight, courtesy of Axios. Quoting the article, AI-driven image-generating apps can already costume a user's selfie and fantasy world garb, but some in the field are working on using similar tech to mimic brand name characters and worlds from popular movies and video games. The initial idea here is to let users create images a la Lensa AI, but instead of dropping a portrait into a broad category like science fiction or anime, you'd see yourself more specifically as a Muppet or a Klingon. Further down the road, these apps could evolve to let you join in the action of a movie or video game. The piece then highlights Vermilio, a company that is working to combine licenses with AI and, quote, authentication is a key aspect of Vermilio's offering. The company says it can track the history of a piece of AI-generated content from the engine that generated it to modifications made after its creation. Why do we care? This is lingering in my mind as I look for applications for AI. Finding a new way to monetize existing intellectual property is the peanut butter and jelly combination that delivers extra value. I don't have an obvious direction to point you at. Instead, it's an approach. Where can you combine two things for your customer to create that additional value? It requires a deep understanding of its offerings and businesses, yet it will also deliver very high margin services and unlock a lot of value. That's the kind of solution a customer will pay a lot for, as it's distinctly driving their top-line revenue. That's why I selected this example. So let's talk about sales. 69% of sales professionals say selling is more challenging now than before the pandemic, according to the State of Sales 2022 report from Salesforce Research. Quoting ZDNet with 4 key findings. First, the new sales mantra, maximizing impact. Companies are moving away from high-risk strategies as they battle inflation, supply chain bottlenecks, regulatory uncertainty, and political disruption. And yet, sales reps are under pressure to hit targets. It's a huge challenge. 2, sales operations boost efficiency. Operational efficiency is taking on growing importance. Sales ops are expanding into a more strategic role, tasked with enabling reps to spend more time in customer conversations. Sales reps spend only 28% of their week actually selling. Third, reps strive to meet rising buyer expectations. Buyers are looking for sales reps to meet them wherever they are, regardless of channel, e-commerce platforms, social media networks, and personal assistants. Buyers then expect sales reps to act as sophisticated, trusted advisors. Organizations connect with buyers on an average of 10 channels. And fourth, the seller experience gets a second look. Companies are reviewing training programs and benefits while optimizing territories and sales enablement tools to set up employees for success. New headcount is limited, and a 25% turnover is expected in sales organizations over the next 12 months. I'm also going to highlight some specific trends from the 10 listed. First, buyers expect well-informed sales teams with sophisticated insights. The report found that 81% of sales reps say buyers increasingly conduct research before they reach out. This was an eye-opening finding. 87% of business buyers expect sales reps to act as trusted advisors. Second, the marriage experience has to be better than the courtship experience. The report found that 80% of sales reps say maintaining customer relationships after the close is increasingly important. And third, sales teams are drowning in tools and overwhelmed with data. The report found that 94% of sales organizations plan to consolidate their tech stack in the next 12 months. Why do we care? That last one. That's another example of less is more. Customers don't need more systems, they need to use the ones they have better. That's playing out in sales teams. There are obvious insights here to implement, so I won't belabor those. I will highlight that hiding any of your information, including pricing, doesn't play well with those rising buyer expectations. I've mentioned layoffs before hitting some of the larger tech firms and how it's not something to be focused on, but more data to reinforce that. According to an analysis of laid-off workers conducted by Revio Labs, a workforce data provider, 72% have found new jobs within 3 months. Even more surprising, a little over half of them, at 52%, have landed roles that actually pay more than what they earned in their lost jobs. The job prospects of laid-off workers vary widely based on their occupation. Software engineers have had especially good luck, Revio Labs found, with 79% of those who lost their jobs since March landing new gigs within 3 months. On the other hand, human resource specialists have had a more challenging time, with only 58% finding a new employer quickly. Or how about this data set? Looking at data from Parachute and Layoffs, both compiling information provided by out-of-work employees, they estimate that 75% of tech workers laid off in October will find a job within 3 months. That's up from 71% for those laid off in January this year and 67% of those who lost their jobs in July 2021, when Silicon Valley was still amidst a hiring binge. Now, why do we care? The noise about tech layoffs is precisely that. Noise. These are companies that overextended and are trimming up. These are valuable employees who will get new jobs in a tight economy. Do not focus on that noise. Overall, this is encouraging news.
Thanks for your time and attention. Time is a finite resource, and I really value you giving me some of yours. If you like this video, you can let me know with a like of the video, and even more valuable, hitting the subscription button. My content is all free, and I use metrics like subscriptions to pay the bills, so it has real value. The content here is produced under ethics guidelines posted at businessof.tech. If you're interested in more content like this, you can get access to content early via our Patreon at patreon.com/MSPradio. It's our give what you want model where you set the value of what you think the content is worth. If you like this podcast, you can catch it daily as the 5-minute news and commentary show, The Business of Tech, available on all your favorite podcatchers with links at businessof.tech. Just hit that big blue button to subscribe. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen, and I really value the interaction. If you want to say something in the comments, I do respond and watch all that, and I look forward to talking to you next time.